Tesla dropped their new robots and the new cars, and in this video, I'm going to give my first impressions on what he did from someone who codes AI projects and had been in tech for 10 years.
Welcome to the iRobot party. So we have quite a show for you tonight. I think you're gonna like it. As you can see, I just arrived in the robotaxi, the cybercab, and there's 20 more where that came from. So they've been traveling. There's no people in them, as you can see. The car's just going by with no people. And we have 50 fully autonomous cars here tonight.
So one thing I would say about autonomous car is I'll be very wary if it actually works or not. People have said that self-driving cars work, but they always test it in a small area. They always test it in like California, where the conditions are always the same. The road is always sunny. There isn't a lot of change in weather. The self-autonomous car are very good for that scenario. But when you start coming to Canada, where I live, where like you have winter, you have fall, you have rain, you have snow, the roads, the markings get shaded off. Sometimes the road signs get covered by snow. It doesn't work very well. And there's a reason why, like Uber, they at one point in the past they used to have a huge self-driving car division, and then they basically got rid of it. Like if it was that good, why would they risk it and just get rid of all this money they spent on it, right? So I'd be very careful about how well this works. Maybe this works very well in California, but not going to work out globally.
So you'll see Model Ys and the cybercab, all driverless. You'll be able to take a ride in the cybercab. There's no steering wheel or pedals. So I hope this goes well. We'll find out. So you see a lot of sci-fi movies where the future is dark and dismal, where it's not a future you want to be in. So like I love Blade Runner, but I don't know if we want that future. I think we want that Duster is wearing, but not the bleak apocalypse. We want to have a fun, exciting future that if you could look in a crystal ball and see the future, you'd be like, yes, I wish I could be there now. That's what we want. So when we think about transport today, there's a lot of kind of pain that we take for granted that we think is normal. Like having to drive around LA in like 3 hours of traffic. Yeah, people that live in LA, I mean, trying to get from Pasadena to, El Segundo during rush hour is like, you could fly to, another city faster than you can get to cross down LA.
Another fact that people forget to mention about self-driving cars is the insurance companies are so paranoid about insuring self-driving cars that like, if there's even like 1% that it's off, they won't go forward and get it regulated. So there's still going to be a huge issue of getting regulation through these insurance companies.
So you have to drive the whole way. Unless you're in a Tesla, of course. Tesla already does quite well at this, supervised self-driving. So supervised full self-driving is actually working quite well. I'm sure there's people in the crowd, you're using that, yeah. So we'll move from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, where the car, you could fall asleep and wake up at your destination. So, but there's also a challenge for a lot of people that cars cost too much. I mean, when you factor in everything that goes into a car, and the car insurance, the car payments, and the storage of the car, it's very expensive. So with, and you said like how many hours a week are cars used? Your average passenger car is only used about 10 hours a week out of 168 hours. So the vast majority of the time, cars are just doing nothing. But if they're autonomous, they could be used, 5 times more, maybe 10 times more. So you could actually, for the same car, would have 5 times as much value, maybe 10 times as much value. There's 168 hours in a week, and like I said, only 10 of them are used for driving. So and then a bunch of those hours are looking for a parking spot, which is, can be pretty annoying at times. So So with autonomy, you get your time back. This is a very big deal. So it's not just it'll save lives, like a lot of lives, and prevent injuries. I think we'll see autonomous cars become 10 times safer than a human. I mean, if you think of times past where there used to be an elevator operator in every elevator.
So what he says is true and false, right? If every car on the road was autonomous, then it's way safer because everyone is going to perform the same way. But if you have a mix of human drivers and this, then that's where like more accidents happen. And the weather thing that I mentioned before. So in his ideal world, yes, this would be good if everyone was autonomous.
Elevator, but once in a while they get tired and accidentally shear somebody in half. So now we have automated elevators. You just get an elevator and you press a button, and you don't even think about it, and it just takes you to the floor. And if you did see an elevator operator with a big relay switch, you'd be like, "That's weird." Now that's how cars will be. And it's not just the lives saved and injuries, but if you think about the cumulative time that people spend in a car, and the time that they will get back, that they can now spend, well, I guess, on their phones, or watching a movie, or doing work, or whatever you want to do. You can think of the car in an autonomous world as being like just a little lounge. You're just sitting in a comfortable little lounge, and you can do whatever you want while you're in this comfortable little lounge. And when you get out, you will be at your destination. So, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So in fact, I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit. The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you won't be able to buy one. Yes, exactly. We expect the cost to be below $30,000. And I think there'll be an interesting, business model where, like, let's say somebody is in, Uber or Lyft driver today, where they can actually sort of manage a fleet of cars, and like a sort of manage, 10, 20 cars, and just sort of take care of them like a shepherd tends their flock. You have your flock of cars, and you're the shepherd, and you take care of your flock of cars. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think it's gonna be a glorious future. It's gonna be really something special. So, yes, good, all excellent questions. So we do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year. And that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with time frames, but in 2026. So, yeah, before 2027, let me put it that way. We'll make this vehicle in very high volume, but well before that, you will experience a robotic taxi via the Model 3 and Model Y program, and Model S and X too. But the 3 and Y will achieve unsupervised full self-driving with permission in wherever regulators essentially approve it in the US, and then to follow in outside the US. So, and it's not track 2. Yes, of course. Sorry, I don't want to be. Yes. All our cars, basically, all cars that we make. So, let's not get nuanced here. All right, next slide. So, one of the reasons why, the computer can be so much better than a person is that we have millions of cars that are training on driving. So it's like living millions of lives simultaneously and seeing very unusual situations that a person in their entire lifetime would not see. But hopefully, yeah, exactly. So with that amount of training data, it's also going to be much better than what a human could be, because you can't live a million lives. And it's also, it can see in all directions simultaneously, and it doesn't get tired or text or any of those things. So it will naturally be, like I said, 10, 20, 30 times safer than a human, just for all those reasons. And I want to emphasize that the solution that we have is AI and vision. So there's no expensive equipment needed. So the Model 3 and Model Y and S and X that we make today will be capable of full autonomy unsupervised.
So if you guys remember, a few months ago, Meta launched SAM 2, and they've launched a few other libraries that have way better computer vision, where you take a picture and you can identify this is a human here, this is a dog, and it was very good. It was still off by 1% ish, I would say, right? Like if it's like a little blurred. I'm very doubtful that their one is as good as the Meta one, based on what he's saying, right? Sure, like you have a lot of training data, but like what if the sensors are off, right? Like because the car has all these sensors to like see the camera, especially if it's like winter or something, it's very hard to have like perfect sensors. And I think that's where it's going to fail. It's not really going to fail as much on the identification part, but it's still not as good as identifying as the Meta model part. Meta's SAM 2 version, because they came out way earlier. So of course I'm not using what they're using at Meta. So I'll caution about what he's saying for that.
And that means that our cost of producing the vehicle is low. Now we are going to actually overspec the computer for the Cybercab. So our AI5 computer will be somewhat overspec. And because I think there's actually also an opportunity, sort of like in Amazon Web Services, where if the car's driving for 50 hours a week, there's still over 100 hours left. And there's a potential there to have a massive amount of distributed inference compute, where if you've got, like, say, a fleet of 100 million vehicles and a kilowatt of efficient inference compute, you have 100 gigawatts of compute, which is really quite substantial. And it's there, you might as well use it. So yeah, so that I think will make sense. So, all right, so our autonomous future is here. As I said, we've got 50 Teslas driving autonomously. We're trying to give you a sense of what cities will be like in the future. And when you get in, you'll see like it's really quite a wild experience to just be in a car with no steering wheel, no pedals, no controls, and it feels great. So, and we've had enough vehicles here, so everyone should be able to try it out and experience the set that we built here. It's a very big set, so it's like really, we've used, I don't know, 20, 30 acres or something like that. It's really big. So it goes on, the ride's long. And we set it up to feel like a ride, like a park ride. So it'll be cool. And you'll get to experience it tonight. Something we're also doing is, and it's really high time we did this, is inductive charging. So the robotaxi has no plug. It just goes over the inductive charger and charges. So yeah.
So what they're doing with these robots here is most likely there are ways where you can like train move the robot manually, and then it'll learn how you do it and then copy it. So these robots are probably not very smart. In terms of inductive charging, where it's charging while you're driving, I don't know too much about the battery stuff, but as people know, like the battery is the most expensive part of the car, right? Like once the battery is done, you may as well get a new car, right? So I don't know how this is going to work. Like it's always charging. I don't know how long the battery is going to last. And also the other thing he mentioned was that, you could share your car with other people and make money at the same time. Well, right now, imagine like your car can last for 10 years and you are driving, let's say, like he said, 10 hours a week, right? But now imagine you're driving 4 hours a week, your car's gonna wear down way faster. So you're gonna have to replace the car faster. So I don't know how that's gonna work either.
Kind of how it should be. Thanks, guys. I love you too. So one of the things that is really interesting is how will this affect the cities that we live in? And when you drive around a city, or when a car drives you around a city, you'll see there's a lot of parking lots. There's parking lots everywhere. Parking garages. And so what would happen if you have an autonomous world is that you can now turn parking lots into parks. And so we're taking the ing lot out of parking lot.
So when he says like converting parking lots into like parks, I don't really think that's gonna happen. I really think like whoever's the property owners, they own that parking lot land, right? they paid money for the land, right? They're gonna try to build more buildings on top of it. They're not gonna build more parks. So I think he's not being very realistic about that.
So there's a lot of opportunity to create green space in the cities that we live in. So that would be quite fantastic. Oh, and also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? The Robovan. The Robovan is we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people and can also transport goods. So you can configure it for goods transport within a city or transport of up to 20 people at a time. So this is gonna, the Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere, or you're looking to really get the cost of travel down to, I don't know, 5-10 cents a mile, then you can use the Robovan. Some people call it the Robovan, but so yeah. One of the things we want to do, and we've seen this with the Cybertruck, is we want to change the look of the roads. The future should look like the future. So, speaking of robots, so everything we've developed for our cars, the batteries, power electronics, the advanced motors, gearboxes, the software, the AI inference computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot. So the same techniques, it's just a robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you can have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. And I think at scale, this would cost something like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. Probably less than a car.
So the thing about the robots is, this is a demo, right? So I don't know if it's really working or not, so that's a different question. But if the robot costs $20 to $30,000, can a normal household buy it, right? Imagine you make like 50K, 60K a year. That's almost a part of your salary. And then the thing is, if you're a robot, you need to hire a maintenance person to fix it when something goes wrong, right? It can't fix itself, right? And then like what's the difference in cost between me washing dishes myself or getting the robot to do it, right? Like washing dishes is almost free for me to do it versus what I pay $20,000 to do it. So I think there's gonna be a huge discrepancy in price and like how capable the robot actually is.
Long term. Take us a minute to get to the long term, but fundamentally at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll be able to do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids, it can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Yeah. Because I think everyone, of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy. And there's going to be maybe 2, and then they'll be producing products and services. I predict actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of good outcome. Look on the bright side. The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want.
So this is one of those physiological arguments. Like, if it's so cheap to make stuff, and you can make it for yourself, then there's no need for money. And then what are you going to use to exchange? How are you going to buy his robot, right? So I think there's a like the people who are already rich, they have the money, they can do more, but like people who don't, there's a discrepancy in what they're saying.
It will be an age of abundance, the likes of which people have not, almost no one has envisioned. It'll be something special. So, and one of the things we wanted to show tonight was that Optimus is not a canned video. It's not walled off. The Optimus robots will walk among you. Please be nice to the Optimus robots. So you'll be able to walk right up to them, and they'll serve drinks at the bar. And you'll directly, I mean, it's a wild experience just to have humanoid robots, and they're there, just in front of you. So yeah, with that, let's party. I love you guys too. If you look at that gazebo over there, let's get the party started.
So that was his video on his Wii robot launch. Like I said, he's very optimistic about the future. But again, if it's going to be worldwide, that's a different question. I think if he wants to make this happen in California and Texas, I think very likely chance. But other than that, cool overall. Like, you know, it's cool to have someone who's looking at the future. But yeah, knowing if it's going to work or not is a different story.